going to turn it over to Chelsea, who's going to talk about. It's easy for me to kind of tell you guys how to find your purpose, but sometimes, as we all know, you can have anchors that will stop you in finding your purpose. And I think we've all experienced that, and that's why we're kind of talking about those positive things, your strengths and your talents, your best possible self. So Chelsea's going to kind of talk to you about anchors and what that can do in finding your purpose. So Chelsea?
Amphibia, are you up and running so we can switch over, or do you want me to keep sharing? Because I think I can do it either way.
Can you share into the breakout?
Yeah, that's fine. All right. All right, so thank you, Tony, for that deeper dive into purpose and the reasons why it's important to march into it and live one's vibrant existence. So I know most of you may know me from the first session or from around the way, but my name is Chelsea Lanford. I'm a business analyst in the product org, and I am going to take us through a journey. So we're going to sail together and work to shaping, defining our diamonds and marching into purpose with imagery. So one of my favorite things is imagery. I explain a lot of life experiences. I tell stories through imagery. Imagery is a place where I feel as though it makes it clear to those around us to get you on the same page, because it gets you thinking and visualizing all different things in life from a different perspective. So before we dig into it and start the journey, I do want to take a moment, because I know we're talking a lot in this episode, the second episode of the Diamond series, and I want to make sure everybody is still with me and can follow along with the journey, and we're good to go. So because after this we'll be breaking out, and then it'll be your turn to talk, so you won't have to listen to us anymore. So let's take 5 seconds and take a breath. So I need take a deep inhale and a big exhale, and clear your mind to provide a present space to process the picture that I am going to paint and the journey we're going to embark together in the next half of this session. So take that deep breath, hold it, release it. It's just a way to ground yourself, to let go of the things that's currently in your mind. And I pinky promise, everything you have running through your mind in this moment can be picked up as soon as we close. When we end this session, you can hit the ground run and get right back to work. But in order to follow along as deeply and to go along with the imagery, you've got to have a clear mind and be present with me in the moment. And as a full disclosure, I am saying that out loud. I'm saying out loud what I'm telling myself, right? Because I know I'm guilty of the same thing, and I have to make sure I stay grounded so that I stay focused and can keep us on this path and on this journey together. All right, so who in here has ever been on a boat or has seen one? So you can use the emoji reaction, or raise your hand. So we've seen boats, we've been on one. Okay, so that's a great step in the right direction. What about an anchor? So can you visualize the anchor of a boat and the purpose that it serves to that boat? And in case you weren't familiar, this down here is that anchor. So it's the definition of an anchor is a heavy object attached to a rope or a chain that's used to tether a boat to the sea bottom. Typically, we'll have a pair of curved and or barbed flukes at the bottom that are used to catch the ground. When that anchor is casted out, it will stop the boat in the water and keep it there for as long as that anchor is attached. So we see right with this image, we've got that anchor down there that's being casted out, and it's going to catch on to the bottom of the sea to keep that boat in motion. So I know you're thinking, Chelsea, what does this have to do with me and my purpose? What happened to the diamonds? I'm not going to get on a boat unless it's a cruise ship or there's a vacation involved. And that's where imagery comes into play. You got to think of it like this. So through your life journey, you're sailing towards your treasure island. That just has one beautiful, shining, defined diamond, which represents your purpose, your goals, your vision, and you are the captain of that boat. So in this picture I've got on the screen, you've got your boat there, and you are that captain, and you're trying to sail to that island over there with that lost treasure island, and to get to that perfectly shaped and defined diamond. But there's some things that are going to stop you from getting to that, and that's what we want to address through this, is that anchor. There's that anchor that's keeping you from getting to that island. It's keeping your boat where it's at. And there are all kinds of different reasons as to why that anchor may get cast out of the boat and into the sea. So one of those is predictability. It feels safe and comfortable to stay in the same place. It could be a life event or a person in your life that comes along and just throws it out of your boat, right? They just grab that anchor, throw it out, and you don't even know what happened half the time. You just know that you're in that water, you're not going forward, and you can see it, but you can't quite get there, and you can't figure out why. It could be past trauma, past experiences lingering, causing fear of the unknown, and so you throw it out for protection. You're like, wait, this is a little scary. I'm going to stay right here where it's safe for me and my boat, and I'm going to throw out that anchor. And it could be you don't even know what or when it was put out there, but you can still feel something is holding you back from reaching purpose and fulfillment. And you might not know what happened or where it came from. It could be something small or something large that you may not even realize is there until you really start thinking about, wait, what are my goals? What is my purpose? And what is stopping me from getting there? And that's what we want to challenge you this month with. Identify your anchor or anchors so that you can start pulling them up and sailing to this exciting diamond on the island. It's not going to be easy. It will be uncomfortable. It may even cause moments of pain or loss, but it will also be unbelievably exciting. So you're chartering unknown seas like a great adventurer. You are the captain, the hero of the great life discovery. So it might, you might have to step out of your comfort zone. You might have to go in that uncharted territory, but that end result will be worth it in the end. And that's going to kind of lead me into, so know that this is a safe space to help nurture growth. And with that statement, I want to share a little bit about my journey this year and how important and passionate I feel about this Diamond Series and my accountability partners and why it's so close to my heart. So a few weeks ago when we started discussing this session, Tony, Vivi, and I shared this imagery with them. It was something I had sketched out in my notebook when I was trying to find a way to explain how I was feeling. As a survivor of childhood trauma, it was really hard for me to process feelings, so I had to find different ways to do so, and I've always used imagery. I draw. So I had this boat sketched out, and on this island over here, I had my purpose. I knew what I wanted. I knew what my purpose was and my calling. I just couldn't figure out. I was like, my boat is here, and there's this anchor, and I need to get over here. And how do I do that? And I've got all this, this wind, these helping hands, resources, therapy, friends. I've got, my accountability partners, and everybody's blowing on my boat, and I'm still not going anywhere. I'm still not quite there yet. And that's when it really, us talking about it, and I brought it up to Vivi and Tony, and it was the first time I spoke about it out loud. When I started telling them about how I was feeling, I shared that in the last few years I've been pulling up anchors. So I had multiple anchors that I believed I had the direct control of is where I started. So my spiritual health, my physical health, and parts of my mental health, I'd started pulling them up, and I was like, I'm still not there. And I recognized that I had one very big anchor that was holding me back. I had clearly defined my goals. I did my homework from the first series. I had really dug into it in my outside life and done research, and I knew what that purpose was. And it was out here on this island, and I was desperate to get my boat sailing towards that island, but I felt stuck. I was stuck in the predictability waves. I was afraid of hitting, these wrist rocks down at the bottom. I just could not tread the water. So on that call with my accountability partners, I felt heard and safe enough that I blurted out what that anchor was. And the hardest part was that this major anchor in my life was a person that I cared for, but I had become comfortable and stagnant. And there was no other anchor I had direct control of that I could pull up. And I was so close to the island, I could taste it. I could taste the coconuts. I could, feel the sun, but I could not get there no matter what I tried. I tried everything possible to try to help get that anchor up myself, to pull up that anchor, to come up from the bottom of the ocean. And I couldn't do it. And so that day after our meeting, I meditated and I put a lot of thought into it. And I'd already made up my decision when I spoke it out loud to them that it was time. I had to release the anchor from my boat. There was no more trying to pull it up. It had to be released. And it was time for me to sail to my purpose. And shortly after that conversation, I released the anchor, and it was scary. It was uncomfortable and it was painful, but there was also joy, excitement, and my spirit immediately started healing those negative emotions. So, Tony mentioned earlier, your purpose shouldn't, have fear, or it shouldn't be scary. The purpose itself is not. It's the journey to get there that's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be so worth it. I was able to pull my boat onto the sand of that island in a week. In a week, I was able to get my boat to that island and pull it up on the sand, and it is an amazing feeling. It's a wonderful place to be, and I'm here sharing my story today to give hope and encouragement, because something amazing happens when you become the captain and take control of that great life discovery ship. When you start identifying those anchors, it will be uncomfortable, but no great things or growth are going to come from staying in comfort. There is so much hope, too, in your story and in mine. I was able to get my boat to land and get to this diamond. And that diamond became even clearer because of that journey I took to get there. But also the anchor in my life that I had dropped also learned to swim and became a boat carpenter on their own when there was no longer a boat that they could be tethered to. So the wind beneath my sails was a community of amazing people and resources that blew my boat in the right direction. And it grew the bonds that I thought before were great, but are now very special to me, which are, Vivia and Tony, my accountability partners, and others. And most importantly, this journey, this imagery I've just given you, I had to live it so I could be here to share this story today in hopes that someone listening will find inspiration and courage to release those anchors that are holding you back from your purpose. And so that's what I mean when I say my purpose became even more defined as I started sailing towards it. That my purpose is to go through these different storms and navigate so that I can share and be encouraging and inspiring for those that may be going through something, or just to be there. So just know that there is something extremely special about this community, your accountability partners, and there's a purpose in it all. So even when those seas get stormy, there's a purpose. There's a reason to keep going. If you still have breath, you still have purpose, as Tony said. Anchors also are going to look very different to everyone, and so does purpose. An anchor could be time, not having the time, or having an inability to say no. It could be location or something lingering from the past. So there's no wrong answer to what your anchor is. It's going to be specific to you and your purpose and your journey. So now it's time to take on something I tell myself daily, is that we need to identify, feel, and release. So it looks like we might not be doing breakouts, but I was about to do breakouts. So do we need to read and not do that, Tony, Vivia?
Yeah, let's skip it because it's part of their homework anyways.
Okay.
So we can just move on to we could skip that slide and go on to the next.
Okay. Darn, so now y'all got stuck listening to me and don't get to do anything fun. See?
Well, it's still going to be fun. It's something they can do with an accountability partner.
Yeah, so just to switch it up a little bit, because I had 2 sentences left that were going to lead into the breakout. So to switch it up, so just remember as you go throughout this process, as you do your homework, as you're reaching out, remember to identify, feel, release. So right now you're in the identify stage. So you're identifying your anchors, you're identifying what's going on, what's keeping you. And that's what we're going to be focusing on, is that identify. And as we go, we'll work through the rest of it. But with your anchor, you want to identify it. You want to feel what's going on, and then you want to release. So you want to release that anchor from your boat. You want to release those negative emotions, and you want to just sail right on through to that purpose. My WebEx, along with Vivia and Tony's, are available at any point during the series as you embark on this great quest of self-discovery to shape, define, and obtain your diamonds. So whether, you can reach out to your accountability partner, you've got us as well, you were safe with us. If we can answer any questions, comments, concerns, Just listen. Tony already said she's a great listener, and I can attest to that. You know, sometimes you just need to say it out loud and be like, oh, yep, that's it. And so we'll continue, and we're going to go on to the next session. But just don't forget, identify those anchors, because it's important. If you take anything else from this, just remember, you know, that one girl, Chelsea, on WebEx and Women of Ford Credit, you know, she got her anchor and she went sailing and got that purpose. And I know I can do it too, because I'm no better than anybody else. And I am just like you as well. And my anchor might just look different, but you have that diamond in your future, and you can make that sparkle, and you can find that light inside to get to where you need to be to release that anchor.
Do you mind sharing the?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and take over from here. So my name is Vivian Clark. I am a